game in 3 days, they must get production from the bench. Grayson Allen found new life in game 2, a new attitude, a new sort of energy for this club. But I think Harry Giles has to be the guy to step up for the Blue Devils. We saw the big line pairing him with Emil Jefferson. They need his production on the front line in this contest.
The opening tap is controlled to the Tar Heels. Tonight's game at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, officiated by Brian Dorsey, Bill Covington Jr., and Ron Groover.
Just really jumping that first screen by Meeks Hart, trying to get Barry. He had such a terrific game at Chapel Hill, 5 of 5 from 3.
Hicks trying to duck under and is fouled along the baseline. He was pinched there by Jefferson and Kennard. There's Mike Krzyzewski, career winningest coach in men's Division I basketball. Looks on as Emil Jefferson, his senior from Philadelphia, picks up his first foul of the evening. Well-documented back problems had him sidelined for a good period of this season. And right away they go inside to Kennedy Meeks, and that's North Carolina's biggest advantage.
That's what they want to do, Tim. They want to attack both Tatum and Jefferson up front, try to wear them down, get them into foul trouble.
Barry just running through that pick. And Roy Williams, 810 career wins. Amazing to think what he's done. Not only the defending champion of this ACC tournament, but he was in the finals of the ACC when Florida State got there first, when Miami got there first, when Notre Dame got there first. He's made it through this round time and time again.
This is the game in Durham is where Duke really excelled from behind the three-point line, 13 for 27 as a team. We need to replicate that this evening.
Kennard challenging the rim. Quick out from Jones, but Jackson off the bounce.
And they just got out there quickly enough to drive him off of the three-point line, make him pull up for a short jump shot.
Barry on a blow-by, and he's fouled.
And that's the way they want to play Joel Barry. I mean, he's so good going to his right hand. They want to force him left, but able to draw the foul in that situation.
Tatum gets his first. Barry, who came off the bench in that senior day game against Duke, 28 on 9 of 14 shooting, and was 5 of 5 from downtown.
And Tim, this is a team too that in North Carolina that can really get into your legs if they're pushing the pace, which they'll normally do. You want to try to limit those 5-second shots and baskets, but they're going to have their foot jammed on the gas pedal.
It's amazing what this team does in terms of its overall assists and its consistency on the glass. They out-rebound their opponents by an average of 13.
Yeah, Duke is the better shooting team, but that's offset because North Carolina is the best offensive rebounding team in the country.
And by a long shot. Scoop to the hoop by Jackson, follows his own shot. And under duress from those bigs of North Carolina, loses it. Barry, ball deflected by Jefferson, and it's a turnover for the Tar Heels.
Duke will always, they always talk very well, especially in transition, have very active hands.
Tatum a step back, that's a 2.
They felt like he was pretty passive in the game at Chapel Hill. They want him to be very aggressive in this game, and I think with Hicks on him, he has the advantage outside.
Playing a little high-low, Hicks and Meeks. Hard to stop that. Very hard to stop that.
Yeah, they won't come down and double team when Jefferson's guarding somebody in the low post. It's when Tatum's inside that they may come on, whether the ball's in flight or on the catch.
Kennard, sweeping left-hander in the lane, won't go. Pulled down by Hicks. Henson will stop and go move, and he's rejected by Jefferson.
And, you know, Jefferson is one of those guys who's going to sky for a basket, but he's a timing guy from blocking shots, and that's a, you know, Kennedy Meeks has just gotten better every year offensively, and he's a sneaky shot blocker in Emil Jefferson.
Another takeaway by Tatum. All the way to the rack.
Right, talk about aggressive. That was a 2-on-3 break. He really didn't have much help, but he gets to that right hand with a great finish.
Duke's got to get a lot of points that way. As you see, yet another easy one, just lob it in to Kennedy Meeks. They've got to get some quick baskets tonight, don't they?
They had cleared out the backside, Tim. There was no weak side help, and Emil Jefferson fronting there. You've got to have more ball pressure on the passer.
Tatum again. This one off the heel. Justin Jackson brings it down. A lot of people feel he needs to assert himself more. Had a struggle early yesterday, but right now, just dig deep. Go down low to that guy, and Kennedy is having quite a start.
They may have to change the way they're playing Kennedy Meeks. It's a front right now, and Jefferson may have to get behind him, and they may get some help on him too, but they're getting picked apart with the lob.
He has 8 of their 10. Kennard, who's had a slow start each of the first 2 games in this tournament, but has been the most consistent Blue Devil. Can't get that one to go, but he's fouled, and that could be the dreaded foul from beyond the arc. So 3 coming up for Kennard when we come back. The color, the pageantry, and oh, by the way, the change of seasons here in the 5 boroughs, from sunshine and blue skies to a snowy day and a historic semifinal round.
A breakout season. This is going to be a team that can not only win the ACC, but I think is going to compete for a national championship.
Well, here's Kennedy Meeks early on, and they've been feeding the post. 8 of their 10 points have come in the paint area, Tim, and you can see the lob right there. They're just throwing over the top. He's had a terrific finish. He's 4 of 4 from the floor. The other 2 points were off of drive from Joel Berry, so they're attacking in a lot of different ways.
Obviously, you guys did not get, Jason did not get the memo from management here. We were supposed to have an argument between you two, and I get pure pablum for it from both of you.
Well,
Unbelievable.
I'm a realist. I thought I saw Jason's jaw drop when I said that.
Well, when you're good, you're good. And
yeah.
I think the Carolina passes the eye test, and what we're seeing now is a team that's coming out defending with a new passion, a new energy. They're tough to beat when they play that well on the defensive end.
Well, for being the contrarian here among the 3 of us, I will say that the winner of the second game wins it all. Because I think everyone's drained after Duke, North Carolina, including the announcers. I'm really glad Wes Durham and Corey Alexander are working the next game, because we all have to towel off after a game between these 2. And frankly, just as was the case in '83 when NC State played Georgia and everyone thought Houston and Louisville was for the national title, sometimes it's the winner of that other semifinal that gets the big win.
You're lying, Tim. You wish you were doing the second game, too. Come on, you've never waved off a game in your life.
Pinson has it stripped away.
Good hands by Kennard that time.
And Tatum, the most effective Blue Devil, at least in the early moments of this game, passes it up. Jefferson has never played in an ACC final.
Well, they're not going to double team. They're letting Meeks play him one-on-one. We've talked about Emil Jefferson's improved low box game. He had plenty of time, 2 or 3 bounces that time to make the move.
Well, you know this game means a lot to the senior, number 21 in black and blue. Jackson a step back. Meeks is so athletic down there. And a reach-in foul spotted again. It may be Tatum that gets tagged. Here's that Duke steal that led to the hoop.
Yeah, the quick hands by Kennard at time, and that triggers the break. And then you see, look, those are the only 2 guys in the frame right there. So Jefferson, plenty of time to operate. He loves to turn over that left shoulder for a right jump hook.
Jones, in fact, got the foul, his first. Tar Heels by 1. Just over 5 minutes gone by here in Brooklyn. Berry. That rainbow goes crying off the front iron.
So far, no touches or points for Hicks in this game, and he was such a critical factor. He didn't play at Duke, but that followed that up with 21 points at the final game of the season.
Jefferson made a great move, just could not convert. Tar Heels by 1. Jackson.
Believe it or not, that's the game plan. He prefers to go left, Tim. They want to try to make him finish with it going right.
Luke May, and you hear the fans all with Luke of North Carolina, and also a few, well, maybe not Lukes for that young man, Grayson Allen, as he makes his way onto the floor. He had a really rough go in game number 1 and really was the catalyst for victory in game number 2 yesterday against Louisville.
Yeah, I really thought that, you know, he had that technical foul against Clemson and scored no points in that game, but came back strong.
He's out there with Jackson on the floor. They really needed him yesterday against the Ville because Jackson had the 4 fouls and could not play much of that second half.
Well, Tim, and you know, you look at it, Luke May was the one who started in place of Isaiah Hicks at the game at Cameron.
That's right.
Yeah, boy, Kennedy Meeks just tearing it up right now inside. You know, whether they play in front of him or behind him.
Senior that prepped at West Charlotte High has 10 points already.
Got the long arms of Justin Jackson guarding Grayson Allen. Had a big game at Cameron.
Tatum again over May. Nate Britt just into the game, comes down with a rebound. That allows Barry to play off the ball. Britt, count it, and a foul. Strong move right there. Softly off the window pane.
Well, they were worried about Emil Jefferson playing. Yesterday was the first time he played back-to-back, but this time against Giles, Barry just went right at him, fresh into the game, not worked up a sweat yet, and Joel Barry takes advantage of it.
Giles got the foul, his first, and Barry at the stripe to try to convert the three-point play.
You may see Giles and you may see Bolden earlier in this half just to buy some time up front for this Duke front line.
5 in the game for Barry, and the lead is 6 for North Carolina. Out of bounds, last touch by Duke as you take a look at our Honda Top 25, brought to you by the Honda dealers of the Carolinas. North Carolina, very, very important that they continue to win here to solidify a potential #1 seed.
Yeah, no, well, certainly things helped with Kansas getting beaten early on. That helped their cause.
Thank you card to Jamie Dixon at TCU.
Yeah, and for all 4 of those teams in action tonight.
May can't connect. There's Bradley rejected. I think that was actually a nice job defensively by both Kennard and Giles to get a piece of that when it's out of bounds to North Carolina.
Not much of a drop off on the offensive glass when Tony Bradley comes in the game, and that's a ball that Harry Giles has to come up with.
Yeah, really important that young man who saddled with injuries for much of this season play at a very high level, up to the potential that he was given when coming in with this celebrated class.
And on May.
Yep, moving pick against Luke May.
Just, you know, guys, it doesn't always lie at the feet of the screener, too. The guy using the screen has to wait until he's set to come around him.
Jones remains on the floor. Jackson has come out. So Allen is running the point. Kennard on a blow-by against Britt, runs right into Barry, and now we've got a scrum with the arrow to the Devils. Nice defensive work there by Roy's team.
You know, Kennard has shown that he can go both ways and finish. But great strip. Nate Britt getting a hand on the ball, but then Kennard, usually the first one on the floor, at least gets a hand on it. Britt wrapping it up. Only 11 seconds left on the shot clock.
Grayson Allen will trigger it in.
Usually that's the guy who could be the most dangerous.
Right you are. Takes it right in there, and there's a tip by Giles.
Wow, nice job, and nice job by Matt Jones, too. Came close to an offensive goaltending, but laid off it.
15-11.
That's what that penetration by Grayson Allen did, though, is kind of collapse everything and allowed him to get on the offensive glass.
Bradley gets the pass. Thing of beauty. Right past Giles.
They're just getting either thrown over the top or giving up angles to the post people inside. And Roy Williams has got to be very pleased when your substitute 4 and 5 are producing for you as well.
There's been very little resistance to those bounce pass entries, and now Tatum throws it away to Jackson.
There must have been a miscommunication because that was a direct line pass to Jackson.
4 quick unanswered, and it's 19-11. Largest lead of the night for North Carolina. Tatum with 2 early baskets. Now uses a running banker to get his 3rd.
But look at the pace coming up the floor.
Wow. Beep, beep.
Well, that's what I talked about, 5-second baskets. You have to try to eliminate those if you can, but it's very difficult against this team.
Right now, the road runner is North Carolina. Wave it off. Foul spotted underneath. It will go against Justin Jackson, his first. Legends all. And the record book, unreal. No other rivalry is like it. The Battle of the Blues rubber match rolls on.
And it's not based around the three-point shot. It's based around inside out. And right now the bigs are producing. Duke has not made a 3 yet in this game. We're almost halfway through the first half.
I want to send out a shout out to Danny Flaherty. Danny Flannery of Duke, who was sort of holding my hand on the number 2 train as we made our way on the subway system to 34th Street yesterday. Played lacrosse at Duke.
I knew you couldn't do it by yourself.
Yeah,
you know, there had to have been some help.
Yes. Actually ran into him quite by accident. Danny Flannery, thank you so much for helping me out. Kennard not there. Tap out, and Allen runs it down.
And that's where I think North Carolina's perimeter players are going to have to pay attention. There are going to be tap outs in this game.
Allen plays the nylon song.
First 3 of the game. And he just started, to me, Tim, he looked like he played a lot more confidently in the second half of that Louisville game, and really had to because of Frank Jackson's foul trouble.
Knocked away by Kennard.
There you see the double team now. They've changed the way they're playing. They're going to stay behind and come on the actually in the flight of the ball.
Seventh Woods in the game along with Britt. They'll go deep into that bench. Pinson can't get that one to go.
Push on May in the back.
Yeah, Luke May will pick up the foul for North Carolina, his 2nd.
North Carolina foul number 32, Luke May.
We know who's going to get the most minutes for the Tar Heels, but you know they'll also go deep, very deep into their bench, while Duke simply can't do that.
Well, you look at it, and 7 players from North Carolina will get the majority of the minutes, but they have 4 other players they'll put in a rotation to give those guys at least a rest, more of a rest than Duke's players would be able to get.
Tatum pulls up. Did not get the shoulder squared for that shot.
Well, Tim, you know, it's not, and it's probably not going to be in the first half when the fatigue shows up for Duke. You know, the whole point of that pace for North Carolina is to get into your legs in the last 10 minutes of the game.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Playing zone right now, which has really been beneficial with this team, not known for its defense. Got a little bit better after that Wake Forest win when Capel was the interim coach. But they play a lot of zone now. Allen again.
Just knocking down that first shot was huge for him.
Length of the floor for Hicks. Tries to save it. Woods lost it. Jones fires it right back to Pinson, who now gives the dunk to Tony Bradley.
Just, you know, Matt Jones, I think he had time. He just took a bit of a risk right there, saving the ball the way he did. That was a heads-up play by Pinson.
You throw that ball back towards the opposition team. Look at that. Grayson Allen with a little taunting and woofing after the 3.
He's got to be careful now to not let his emotions get away with him, but he is definitely barking at the North Carolina fans.
On the wing, an answer. Nate Britt. And that's a much-needed basket for him. He had really been struggling with his shot. Several games with no points as Allen gets popped by Pinson.
I think the game is on, Tim.
Yeah.
The intensity level just went up a notch, or 3.
Grayson has become your quintessential box of chocolates for Coach K. You just don't know game to game what you're going to get. There are times when it can become a problem. You just don't know. It was in the Clemson game, but without him, they're not here tonight by virtue of the way he played against Louisville yesterday.
Well, I think he figured it out too. I think the light went on for him in the way he responded to how Louisville was guarding him.
Giles, not there. Pulled down off the deck. Easiest rebound that Kennedy Meeks will get all night. Hicks just off the baseline with his first deuce.
He's shown that he's got that range. He can pull off the low block and knock down a 15-footer. Keeping 4 guys across the free throw line, trying to open up some passing lines.
Jackson on the wing, way too strong. And Hicks is going to get called for pushing on Emil Jefferson, his first. Grayson Allen, when he plays with flair, when he plays with edge, he can really get it done.
Yep. Here's Grayson Allen again, Tim. This is a different stroke, and he's see right now. I think when he thinks, that's when he gets into trouble. He's just reacting right now, and there you can see having a little conversation with the Carolina fans.
When he loses his edge, he loses really who he is as a player. But you have to harness it. You can't go over that line. And too often through the course of this season, that's been a fact. It happened against Clemson and became divisive, and his teammates bailed him out.
It's those demonstrations against the referee and the tripping. Those are the things that have really gotten him in trouble. It's, all the other physical play he's fine with.
Yep. No doubting his value when he plays at his best. Duke is a much better team.
And there's certainly no room for either of those things. And you just hope that he learns at some point.
What a pass from Pinson. Boy, dropping a dime. Good for the streets of the city right there.
Well, he's such an important part, and I think a very underrated part of this basketball team. He doesn't do any one thing great, but does so many things so well.
12 for Meeks and 3 assists. For Pinson, who's been a much valued player for this North Carolina team. Jackson, a JJ payday, and the lead is 10.
Well, now you talked about him being more aggressive. Mike Krzyzewski wants a timeout to try to stop this run. There's the look inside. Look at Pinson. Collapses everybody. 3 Blue Devils around him, and that's an easy layup. Boy, the Bigs have gotten such easy shots for North Carolina inside. And then Justin Jackson, the player of the year in the ACC, stepping up big on that shot.
Well, the Ram Power Play is brought to you by Ram
at home, and he's been rolling ever since.
You can hear the Tar Heel faithful. Right now they're on a roll and have a 10-point lead in the midst of a 10-1 run.
Frank Jackson's off to a very slow start, Tim. He's 0 of 5 from the field, missing both of his threes. He needs a confidence builder to go down.
Kennard too, and that's a walk by Tatum. Yeah, you begin to wonder the slow starts for Kennard. When will that finally catch up with Duke? He got away with it against Clemson. He really got away with it again against Louisville. You wonder if tonight this team is too great for only one half's production from him.
Yeah, and you can't let this game get too far out of shape. It's critical, and Duke has always been very solid in finishing halves. But in both of those games, Kennard has been really slow, and then all of a sudden he comes out in the second half and gets going.
Jackson right over Allen.
Well, he's got the size and length to play over the top of Grayson Allen, and again, you want to try to put some pressure on Allen to defend. That's why they wanted Jackson to be more aggressive in this game.
Grayson, good pass there to Tatum on the wing, and he rattles it home.
Well, Duke does such a great job with their spacing and knowing where their shooters are going to be on the drive.
That was a big basket. Duke needed to stop the bleeding. Jackson again. Meeks with the rebound and put back. Tatum brings it down. That's the first miss from that range for Kennedy Meeks. That was a huge three for Tatum a moment ago off that drive from Allen.
And both of those guys got some pretty good rest in between with Bradley and May.
Allen again off the dribble handoff. He and Tatum working in tandem now. He's got a dozen.
Well, they're going to have to show harder on that screen. You can't give him an open look. The bigs have to get out.
Leads can evaporate in a hurry in this series. Both teams have the ability to explode offensively. Pinson tries to save it and does.
Boy, he almost dribbled himself into trouble, but he may be their best passer, Tim. Yeah. I mean, you can, point guards, everything. 4 assists already, and he's now 5. He's got the length to see over people.
By the way, when you're in trouble, just lob it towards the rim and let Meeks or Hicks go get it. Jefferson, that's a block.
And that play is set up by Grayson Allen. And this is what I mean, that everybody went with him on the double team. Here's Jackson first working over Kennard in the low post. The good find that time by Tatum out in the corner. Grayson Allen, here's where you got to fight over that screen and get somebody to show. And Kennedy Meeks, and this is how these teams have been scoring. North Carolina inside, Duke from the perimeter.
Joel Berry now with his second foul. Roy Williams chatting with him with Jefferson now at the free throw line. Talked about how important it is for Grayson Allen, how much better they are when he plays at a high level. For North Carolina, Joel Berry's that guy too. I mean, he's the engine, and when his game is on, they become so very difficult to deal with because of the power down low. He starts making three-point shots, and
he stays out on the floor as a result of that. And you look at Grayson Allen, he's only played 10 minutes, already scored 12 points, hitting all 4 of his threes.
And that assist that he made on the pass to Tatum that cut the 12-point lead to 9 was huge at that moment. North Carolina was about to get big-time separation.
Well, and here's, we talked about Bolden maybe coming in, and here he is to spell Emil Jefferson. Yesterday was the first time all year that he had played 2 in a row, Tim, and this is the 3rd game in 3 days.
Hicks right through a double. Yes, and a foul. Bolden gets the personal.
Yeah, he was too slow coming down on that double team, and you either have to take a foul that ensures 2 free throws or let it go, but you got to get it there quickly.
By now you know his story. 8 games of the season to start with a leg injury. And we're talking about the guy that was supposed to be the head of the class, the best class. #1 center in college basketball coming in. Texas Mr. Basketball from DeSoto. Just has not had enough reps to get his game on track. Tatum on another blow by, rejected. Bradley got in front of him that time. He and Hicks are out there now with Meeks sitting.
Just more length, and Bradley is a very good shot blocker.
And 2 on Bolden. Well, that pass was almost deflected into the cylinder for a basket. Back and forth we go. A little bit like the traffic in Gotham. Whether you're in Brooklyn or Manhattan, the Tar Heels, the Blue Devils.
Points in the paint. Kennedy Meeks only has 1 miss on the afternoon, 14 points. The Blue Devils have gone man-to-man. They've tried their hand at zone. They've played the bigger lineup. They must have an answer for Carolina's front line.
And Jason, you're so right. And there's 2 sides to playing the post. You've got to get a hand up and trace the ball on the guy trying to make the post entry and at least make it tougher. But when you play off him, he's got a clean sight line inside. And Kennedy, both Hicks and Meeks have done a nice job of walking their guys up the lane to give them room to catch.
Carolina's bigs are taught, if you're fronted, put your arms straight in the air, use your hips to drive the defender up the lane. the Blue Devils have to have ball pressure, but their help side must be in line when that ball's in the air to make a play on it.
No, they're not certainly taught something as illegal as that now, are they?
It's definitely legal. Your arms are in the air, drop your hips, drive them up the lane.
You know, you're taught to play with your lower bodies a bit because the referees are looking up. That's where they're looking up in the air. They're not seeing what's going on down low.
Like I'm listening to an offensive coach and defensive coach arguing the pick play in football.
I'm sure G-Man did a little bit of that as well. Riding guys up the lane to get that inside position.
You think? A little alley-oop here inside to Tatum. Out of bounds. Last touched. Oh, I think they're asking for help. Dorsey wants help from Ron Groover, and it's going to go back to North Carolina. So a turnover committed by Coach K's squad here.
There's a look inside, and either a foul of that player, or that it's clearly off of Tatum.
I enjoyed that little dialogue you had with Jayson there. That was beautiful. Enough with this agreeing on everything.
Just playing the nylon strings.
That's what I'm talking about. Jackson working on Tatum. Well defended there by Tatum. Jefferson the rebound.
Well, there haven't been many to get, but North Carolina, no second chance points to this point, but they're shooting such a high percentage. There hadn't been a lot of misses.
They got clogged up there, Hicks and Jackson, and the foul committed on the double team. And it goes against Justin Jackson. We look at our Haviland defensive shield and the North Carolina rebounding story. From a defensive standpoint, always one of the best, and they're +6 right now.
Yeah, you look at it, 28 a game, and talk about it. They get 40%, Tim, of their missed shots, which hasn't happened so far, but like I said, tough to get that. And right now, North Carolina 1 foul away from putting Duke in the double bonus.
Blue Devils are getting right now all they could ask for from Tatum. Allen has given them some. I'm still waiting on Kennard to wake up.
Well, maybe this is an opportunity in the last 3 minutes. That was a second foul on Justin Jackson, so he's going to sit for the rest of the half. Takes a huge offensive weapon off the floor.
Britt working on Kennard here.
They got right now. They got Grayson Allen is stuck on Isaiah Hicks.
Robinson in the game, giving it up to Hicks. Shot clock now. Rarity when we see this with North Carolina, down under 5. Hicks into traffic. Just got it on the 10. Pinson the offensive rebound and put back.
Well, great first ball defense, but you've got to come up with that ball, and there were enough jerseys in there, but Pinson just outfought everybody.
Allen, not this time. Pulled down by Pinson. 3-on-2 for Theo to Hicks.
We talked about their ability in the post, but Carolina's bigs run the floor very, very well. And that long 3 missed, and that's the first pass to the fast break.
Baker's dozen is the lead, and Britt reaches in on Kennard and commits the foul.
Well, here's Pinson, and Hicks did a nice job just to get the ball up on the rim. You may have to make your mistakes there and hope for an offensive rebound, and Pinson right on top of it, and then showing his versatility and his ability to make the run the break extremely well.
It's really made a difference having him healthy and good to go. Missed the first 16 games with a fractured foot.
Tim, you look at it, North Carolina 14 assists on 19 made field goals. That's just an astounding ratio.
Only 5 on the game for Kennard and 1 field goal.
Yeah, he's only taken 2 field goals, and all of the scoring at the free throw line.
Meeks looking for a cutter. Chooses Britt, who decides to drive baseline. Hicks again. That's just too easy. They're getting whatever they want in the paint.
You look at it, Hicks and Meeks have combined for 25, over half of the points for North Carolina.
Look at that, 32 of their points in the paint. Tatum steps back, falling away. Tough shot, but he's got 13, and without him, Duke would be in a world of hurt. Britt, a floater. Just put it up and let Hicks or Meeks.
Well, it's been Tatum and Allen. That's been most of the offense for Duke. They're going to have to hope that Kennard is true to form and that he comes to life in the second half and adds a third scorer.
Brandon Robinson looking to shake free. That's where you want it, right to Meeks. This one off the heel, and it is cleared by Kennard.
I'm sure Duke would like to see him knock a shot down before the end of the half, try to get some momentum.
Tatum is fouled. He's been a one-man wrecking crew. North Carolina has not been able to deal with him. And a foul against Isaiah Hicks, his second. Well, Hardy's halftime report will be coming up. Tom Wormy, Corey Alexander will be with you. Get you set for the second semifinal between Florida State and Notre Dame. And the ACC Legend Ceremony. What fun that will be. All of that and more on the Hardy's halftime report with Tom Wormy and Corey Alexander.
And Tim, you know, that Jayson Tatum may be the hardest matchup in the league. If you put a big on him, he can go outside and put it on the floor. If you try to guard him with a smaller player, he goes into the post. You know, Jonathan Isaac may be in that class too, as far as a matchup nightmare is concerned, but a different type of player.
Refreshingly consistent too. He's lived up to the advanced billing in ways his comrades have not.
He's the one who got healthiest first.
Yes.
And that allowed him more court time.
Robinson not there. Tatum on the loose. A one-man band he's been. Yes, and a foul.
And you know what? Very subtly, Emile Jefferson led the way and was a moving screen almost running up the middle of the floor. That allowed Tatum to get in. Watch this. Well, look where he's running. Just getting in front of everybody, and that allows Tatum to get the clear path.
Jayson Tatum for Duke, shooting
18 now for Tatum. And the lead down to 6. It was 13 just a moment ago. And a 7-0 run for Duke. Comes at an opportune time for the Blue Devils.
With both Barry and Jackson on the bench.
You're susceptible to that when you substitute as frequently as North Carolina does. Meeks on the glass. Tough shot. And he's fouled. Well, Jeff Capel got up from his seat and was a little vociferous. Got the attention of Ron Groover pretty quickly there. That's the second foul on Tatum. Boy, what a job he's done. I understand his emotion, I do.
Tatum is the only one who's played significant minutes who has 2 fouls, so they've been able to get through the first 20 minutes in decent shape that way.
Meeks has had a monster half at the free throw line. He's got 14. Think of how close they were to a national title a year ago, and Marcus Page hit that miracle shot only to have Chris Jenkins do them in from Villanova at the buzzer.
And Tim, you know, you look at it now, rush up the floor. The only thing that Tatum has to be concerned with is an offensive foul.
Yep. Got his man airborne. Wow, and Duke can't believe there was no whistle on that. Mike is beside himself.
The referees are signaling that the defensive player went straight up and down, and Mike is lingering.
Yeah. The ball fake got him airborne, and you would have thought that was an automatic. But if he does go straight up by rule, that's
the one that's going to be interesting, Tim, to me, Emile Jefferson. They were the one that he was the one they're concerned about. He had to play 16 minutes in that first half. It's a long time, and he's going to have to play for long stretches in the second half.
Well, as a senior, he'll remember this last game, this rubber match of this season, and one where, think about it, the last time these two played in the ACC tournament was the 2011 championship won by Duke. People remember that. Guys on that staff, Nolan Smith among them, remember that. John Shire remembers it. Emil Jefferson has never been in an ACC tournament final. And they pick up right where they left off with Meeks inside for the first bucket.
Yeah, really just anything he wants. And, you know, I think Jefferson probably has to wait a little while longer. He's only got the one foul, but he's got to be a little bit more aggressive. And this is the guy that needs to come alive.
No doubt about it. Right away, Luke Kennard with a field goal, much needed for this Blue Devils team. And he can score in bunches, as we know.
It's amazing how, and right now, I think on maybe a contact lens issue, but I think Isaiah Hicks figured it out. It looked like he was going over to the bench. And the other guy for Duke is Frank Jackson. Tim has not scored, and he needs a confidence-building bucket early.
Grayson Allen is on the bench to start the second half, and Jackson rattles home a tray just like that. He's got 10.
He's just been very aggressive right from the start. Duke would be served well to try to attack him and get his third personal foul.
Tatum cannot answer. Meeks clears, and Barry probes for North Carolina.
No second chance opportunities for Duke. They're only sending one person to the offensive glass. Everybody else is getting back in transition.
Meeks with 8 rebounds. Beautiful dish here to Jackson off the bounce. Not this time. Pulled down by Tatum.
Pretty nice job by Tatum that time, and a good solid block out on Isaiah Hicks.
Maybe trying to do a little too much that time. Hit the deck. I think we've got a tie ball with the Blue Devils. Well, the ACC is brought to you by, around the ACC is brought to you by Paraduntax. One game left, and it's Bonzie Colson against Dwayne Shakin' Bacon tonight. What do you think?
Well, it's going to be, I think that Notre Dame is one of the best offensive teams in the, not only in the league, but in the country. Great passing team, and it's can they counteract the size of Florida State and the number of bodies and big bodies that they bring at you.
Jackson rejected by Meeks. Pinson, who was a world-class deliverer in that first half. This time with a little runner baseline, can't get it to go. Now Jackson is fouled. So he had a breakout.
And that's the third personal foul on Joel Berry.
Yeah, it's huge. He just got tied up with him, too. That was an by the way, incidental, but it counts against you foul against Berry, and he stays out there with 3.
Yep, and you know, I guess the decision would be either Nate Britt to come in, and Roy Williams has decided to leave him on the floor. Maybe this is an opportunity if you're Jackson now to really put pressure, get yourself out of a slump, and put it on the floor and drive.
Settles for the 3 and gets it to go.
Even, you know, Barry couldn't be as aggressive as he might be in getting a hand up and contesting that shot. And Emil Jefferson just kind of spying Barry just to try to slow the pace down a little bit.
Shot clock at 10. Strong move, considering the foul difficulty. Out of bounds, it belongs to Duke. I think Roy is playing with fire here, leaving him in there.
Well, remember, he did it yesterday with Louisville, leaving Pinson in with 2 fouls in the first half, and he picked up his third.
I'm really surprised he hasn't taken him out. And Jackson probes, and as you said, why not? Set up some picks and rolls and maybe attack straight line to the basket. Jefferson. Everything but the finish pulled down by Hicks.
Yeah, beg your pardon, that was against Miami yesterday. But here's Jackson, and that's a nice job by Emil Jefferson of challenging that shot.
Kennard pulls up. Rebound Jackson. Jackson runs the curl. Beautiful.
A ball and player movement that time. Good swing of the ball, and Jackson just in constant motion. There haven't been a ton of rushes up the floor for North Carolina, Tim, but they have executed in the half court incredibly well.
Tatum with a dump down to Jefferson.
It went in a foul. He got bailed out by the foul call.
Meeks is going to get it. Little step in, his second. Roy takes the specs off and gets ready to chat with his guys. Some magnificent shots from the past and some new shots being made that could become historic tonight. With great regularity in the late 70s, into the 80s, even all the way into the early 2000s. But in recent years, since 2004, they've only met once, and that was that 2011 game we were talking about, won by Duke.
And it may be a function of expansion, and this tournament getting bigger, and they're getting farther apart in the brackets. But Tim, in my 4 years there were 2 years we played North Carolina 4 times.
Yeah, I remember that.
One in the Big Four, and then 2 regular season, and then in the tournament.
Big Four was in Carolina country. Their version of the Big Five in Philadelphia played in those days. Jackson off the curl.
And it looks like Tatum's going to get called for the push, but it's been a lot more jump shooting for North Carolina in this second half.
Now the ACC mobile app is free and packed with video news, standings, and stats. Right now, users have a chance to win Outback for a year. Look for a banner in the app for your chance to enter and win free Outback for a year. Download the app today.
Well, they need North Carolina needs to establish itself back in the lane.
Barry with the 3 fouls. Boy, he had a bunny that was easier than he thought, and he missed it. Tatum, by the way, now has 3, and Coach K has decided to keep him out there.
It looks like he was looking around, waiting for somebody to come over and step in for the charge, and he took his eye off the basket.
Jackson on a blow-by. And a reach-in foul. That's a bailout for sure. And May came over to give some help that time. His first. Oh, Barry. Wow, I thought that was May. Well, we were suggesting he was playing with fire, and boy, was he ever. With 15-plus minutes left, Joel Barry is forced to lead with 4. I was shocked.
This down.
I was shocked when he didn't take him out.
And mark this down, and there's the look inside. Yeah, and that's certainly did get him on the wrist, no question about it.
It was a good call. I really thought it was May. He looked guilty, but he came over late. And now a foul against Jefferson, his second.
But Tim, you know what? I mean, even though he's the point guard, it's been Jackson and Pinson that have been making the plays.
True.
So it may not be as big a hit. I mean, obviously you want him out on the floor, for his scoring capability. But as a junior, you have to be smarter than that, knowing your foul situation and what you can and can't do. And that was just a blatant reach-in.
Yeah, well, certainly Roy was counting on that veteran approach, but it did not happen. Jackson with a 3 over Allen. He's got 15. Make enough shots like that, it won't matter that Barry's got foul difficulty.
I think Jackson being off the floor almost is more important than Barry being off the floor at this point.
Remember, Tatum is playing with 3 for Duke. Here's Jefferson, ridden by May, and he'll get the foul.
See, and he can, he's going to absorb some fouls out there. They've got him on Jefferson, who's a better offensive player, and actually, then they're allowing Meeks to play Harry Giles, who hasn't scored in this game.
That's the 3rd on May. They've got a lot of answers for guys at his position, not so much for Barry. An alley-oop was deflected beautifully by the Tar Heels defensively.
Yeah, and that's a tough play. I mean, you have to make a better decision than that. There were 5 white jerseys in the lane. Chances were very slim of completing that.
See with grit out there if Pinson controls the rock a little bit more. That's the place you want it if you're Carolina, and that's why. Boy, he has been some stat sheet stuffer tonight. 19 for him.
And already 11 offensive rebounds, and that was a great job by Meeks. They had him pinned underneath the backboards in, but he was able to come back with a second shot.
Lead is 13, and Tatum with a strong flush. Wow. Timeout taken. 13:39 remaining. for the right to play for the ACC championship. Tatum with 3, unabashed, runs to the rim, drives it home. The Devils won't go away.
Devils in double figures, and I think that timeout by Mike Krzyzewski was more about, and there's Tatum's numbers, we see what he's done in the tournament so far. But that timeout by Mike Krzyzewski is more about rest than anything, because he's going to get another one under the 12-minute mark, and that what he hopes is it'll set up the last 10 minutes with his guys a little fresher.
Yeah, without a doubt. And now on the floor, Tatum is joined by Giles, Kennard, Jefferson, and Grayson Allen. And it is Nate Britt running the show here for North Carolina. And that's going to be a foul on Grayson Allen. His first.
This is a fairly big lineup out on the floor, and Grayson Allen will be he'll be the primary ball handler with this group.
Grayson pointing out to Von Groover that he felt
he can't.
He felt that Britt had his arm.
And he's, you know, just still again, you got to be a little careful.
He wasn't being argumentative. He was just trying to make a point to the official. Britt not there. Out of bounds. It'll go back to Duke.
Yeah, Nate Britt not nearly the shooter that Joel Berry is. A very good defender on the ball.
Kennedy Meeks is going to sit down. And they haven't lost a lot when they've gone to Bradley. They really haven't.
Especially on the offensive glass, and also a very good rim protector as well.
Allen wide open to Tatum. Off the heel, Allen runs it down. Now Kennard, yes! And one. Hello, how do you do?
Here's the look, and we talked about him in the second half. Grayson Allen makes 2 plays, and he finds 2 teammates. One of them, Kennard, who knocks it down and commit the Cardinals in. It was Nate Britt who actually ran into him and picked up the foul on the play.
That was a tremendous play by Allen.
Yeah, great concentration, and that's just the energy that Grayson Allen brings to the floor.
(61-54). Pinson with the handle. Inside to Bradley. Rejected by Giles. And I think he may have been on the inline. No, he was going to be pushed.
Yeah, they're going to call a foul on Kennard.
Wow. A little sarcastic smile there from Coach K. That foul does go against Emil Jefferson. And that's the 3rd on Jefferson.
There's the look inside. I mean, that's all ball right there.
But no, the foul was on Jefferson.
It was in the continuation after the play when he got the offensive rebound.
Which made it really, really tough for K, because that's Jefferson's 3rd with a lot of time left. Beautiful cut by Hicks.
Well, North Carolina's gotten back to it, Tim. I thought they got a little jump shot happy in the start of this second half, but now they're really starting to pound it inside where they had so much success in the first 20 minutes.
8 dimes dropped by Theo Pinson. Allen misses the bunny. There's a little runner inside the painted area. Couldn't go. Theo. Not this time. Pulled down by Tatum.
They concentrated a little bit too much on getting the foul on Tatum.
Cross court to Allen, and he's fouled. Great vision by Tatum on that pass in the open floor. Fouled by Bradley.
Well, you got 2 guys in Pinson and Tatum who can both bring the ball out of the backcourt. That was a hard hit by Grayson Allen, but he absorbed it well. And Duke again getting to the free throw line. This would be his, should he get both of these, the first points of the second half for him.
Well, he may not have scored, but he certainly made plays since coming in. Did not play the first 5 minutes.
Well, and he's going to be, like I said, with Frank Jackson on the floor, he's a scorer. When Jackson's off the floor, he becomes a primary ball handler.
Giles sits down. Jefferson remains on the floor. Jackson back in along with Tatum. Kennard.
does is it gives them in North Carolina even more reason with Emil Jefferson on the floor to attack inside. Both he and Tatum with 3 personal fouls.
Near turnover there, and they finally do turn it over. Pinson lost it. Allen back out to Tatum. Turned down one. Allen cranks it up.
Well, you know what? I thought Tatum passed his way out of a good shot, but boy, Grayson Allen just seeing a huge basket.
Unselfish basketball from Duke right there. Star to star. Jackson. Kennard clears for Duke.
The lead evaporating since Joel Berry went down to the bench with the 4th personal foul. 7th Woods, Brandon Robinson getting ready to come in the game.
11-2 run now for Duke. Kennard. Jackson.
Well, that's the basket that he needed, Tim. He struggled offensively. His first make of the game, second make of the game.
Roy calls a timeout, and he hates doing that. He can't stand doing that. Listen to this crowd.
Starting to feel better offensively.
Well, the fans here in Brooklyn, New York at this ACC tournament for the first time. It's a wonderful atmosphere. I was asked a lot today, and I'm sure you have too, Mike, what would we anticipate here with the kind of crowd reaction? You know, when you get at Cameron and at the Dean Dome, I think for this tournament and for the many people that have made their way up here, it's very similar. You wouldn't know that you weren't along Tobacco Road. These fans have had a magnificent time. Many of them from other schools, but are loving every minute.
And I think that you look at it, both have really strong alumni bases up here. Duke always draws well when it comes up to New York, as does North Carolina. And maybe that subway still exists.
Yes, indeed.
Going the other way, going up north.
Jason Capel, I'm sure you've got a perspective on this.
Well, when the Blue Devils were able to make their run to end the first half, it's because Joel Berry was on the bench. Roy Williams said his team settling for too many jump shots. A big reason their point guard is not on the floor. At halftime, the Duke Blue Devils talked about rebounding. Well, +9 for the Tar Heels in the first half. In this half, G-Man, 10-9 in favor of the Tar Heels, but the Blue Devils evening that gap.
Yeah, and doing a much better job of closing out inside. Didn't come up with that one, so they get the recycle of the clock for North Carolina. Just haven't seen that the interior passing and the direct pass into the post from North Carolina.
I think the shot clock needed to be changed, and it was. It's now moving to 28, which was the correct number. Hicks.
Right, that's a big miss right there, because you have Frank Jackson on you down in the low post. You've got to score that basket.
Well, the decision to keep Berry on the floor with 3 fouls has haunted North Carolina in these last few minutes, no doubt about it. Now Robinson, it's a mismatch for Kennard, and he was going to drive him right to the baseline and pick up the foul, and we're in the 1-and-1 now.
Well, Roy Williams is trying to, against a very good free throw shooting team like Duke, so another advantage. They'd already had a big gap at the line. 17 of 19 to this point, Tim. Only 7 of 8 for North Carolina, as much as they've attacked inside.
Don't forget, coming up next, number 22 Notre Dame, number 16 Florida State. Some matchup there.
Well, the thing, and within recently, Florida State, as both teams have won this championship. So, the thing about Florida State this year, not only their depth, but their ability to score.
Yeah.
They've got multiple offensive weapons. This may be Leonard Hamilton's best scoring team, and that goes along with a solid defense.
This is Duke's first tie. They've never led.
Oh
boy, did they get?
They had Brandon Robinson. They had Brandon Robinson and cold in that trap, and Kennard just reaching in, just got a little greedy.
Well, that's his first foul. The other guy pinching him, though, was Jefferson, and remember, he's got 3 fouls. So you'd rather Kennard get the personal than O'Neal if you're Duke. Haven't heard from Jackson much of late. Britt with a little teardrop that falls. Much needed for North Carolina.
Well, there's nothing that Emil Jefferson can do right now. He can't be aggressive with those 3 personal fouls, and he was actually pinned behind a post guy.
Allen adjusts in midair, can't get it to go. That's an over the back on Jefferson, and that's 4. So Krzyzewski, by keeping him in for 3, running the risk of a difficult personal foul that would sit him, is going to go the same course as Roy did about 5 minutes ago.
Tim, if you're going to get that foul, you've got to do it on the defensive end of the floor. Duke has not had much success trying to go. And you look, there was no way that he was going to get that rebound. He just has to be a little smarter than that. And all of a sudden now, big minutes for Harry Giles on the floor.
Emotions of the moment. And when it's North Carolina and Duke, what we've always noticed that these 2 teams always deliver, but players are apt to make mistakes they ordinarily wouldn't because of that adrenaline flow. And both coaches have found out with veteran players making mistakes, and he's sitting with 4. Meeks pounded by Allen.
Nope.
Wave it off. They're going to say it's on the deck.
Yep. He was just late getting over there on the cut. There was a double team on the right side of the floor.
2 on Allen.
There's the look, and nice pass. We talked about the interior passing between these 2 all game long, and Hicks finds Meeks coming down the middle. You know, that was not Giles' fault. He was involved in the double team, and Allen just late getting there. A big miss on the front end of one-on-one makes it 62%.
Kennard, Tatum, Giles, as you mentioned, in for Jefferson. Jackson and Allen, the 5 on the floor for Duke.
Tim, those misses on the front end of one-on-ones, and until you get to the double bonus, they're so huge.
Giles with a good find to Allen. A better pass to Jackson. Duke's first lead.
It'll be interesting to see now how North Carolina responds. They've got to run this offense through Pinson. He's been their best passer by far.
He's dropped 8 dimes tonight. Meeks had it deflected by Giles. Out of bounds. That was a walk. Yep, on Hicks.
There's the look, and the drive inside collapses the defense. And, you know, the way Frank Jackson had been shooting, that's not too bad of a gamble. But now I think a little closer to him.
When do you bring Barry in, Mike, if you're Roy?
Well, I think if he can keep this flat for another 2 or 3 minutes, you know, that would be optimum. But if Duke starts to surge ahead, he has no choice but to come back.
Kennard, a floater. Oh, the iron kind to Kennard.
Well, you know, the thing is, too, that Roy Williams, he's trying to get it under that 8-minute mark with the media timeout coming, because he's already used that 1 timeout early in this half.
Jackson, short-armed at baseline. Giles, the rebound. We may be seeing the emergence of this kid who was hurt half the year. Harry Giles playing big now. Kennard lost it out of bounds. North Carolina gets it back.
Boy, bodies flying all over the place. You see what this game means to both of these teams to get to the final.
If I'm Leonard Hamilton, or if I am Mike Bray, I'm saying you guys just go all night long, will you? Back after this word from your ACC stations.
There were slight gaps between her fingers. She was really looking.
Oh, boy.
That's great. That's the anxiety of a mother in a game like this.
Indeed. Well, out of that timeout, the television timeout at the under 8, still no Barry, but a foul underneath. Joel over there playing the role of assistant and cheerleader.
Tatum picks up that foul, I believe.
That's number 4 on Tatum.
Yep.
So he joins Jefferson with 4. And that's going to get Matt Jones up. He'll have to come in, and that has a dramatic impact from an offensive standpoint on what Duke can do.
Now Jones is a capable scorer, Tim, but he has not scored in this game yet. He's going to have to step up and make some shots.
Tatum is so much more prone to getting his own shot when you have to have it. You look at the second half numbers, and to Jason Capel's point, Duke has done a great job of evening out points in the paint.
Yeah, it's only 8 to 10, and a lot of that happened because of the jump shots that were taken in the first 8 minutes or so of this half. Let's see if Matt Jones can step up and give his team a lift.
North Carolina fans rise to their feet. They want to stop here. Duke with its first lead. They've held it now for a couple of minutes. Jones is on the wing, but Allen drives in traffic. Ill-advised that time. It's on the deck and saved by Britt.
Yeah, he's taken a couple of wild shots, Tim, going into the hoop.
Britt hit a teardrop a moment ago. He may have confidence. Jackson needs to get unleashed. He's been really quiet in this half. Britt for three.
See, they're going to dare him to shoot, but Duke has to clean up the offensive or defensive glass.
Nice save by Giles, falling to the seat of his pants.
He's given them some pretty good minutes. Hasn't scored, but done a lot of things well on the defensive end of the floor and on the glass.
Well, this is certainly an all-hands-on-deck moment in this rubber match between these two. It's going to take as many bodies as each coach has.
And you're going to get the sense you're getting into the zone where Joel Berry may be thought of to come back into the game.
Britt picks up the foul, reaching in. That's 3 on him.
Both teams 2 away from the double bonus.
Attrition is going to be a factor, already is really for both teams, but with Emil Jefferson sitting and Joel Berry, it's been a long time for Berry on the bench. He left him up the 15-minute mark, 15:04 when he committed that foul.
Well, this is it can't get to the under 4 fast enough for this Duke team to go over and get some hydration and a little bit of rest heading into the last part of the game.
Like I said, if I'm either Leonard Hamilton or Mike Bray, I'm saying you guys go as many overtimes as you like. We'll tip our game at 10:30 tonight.
Double figures for Kennard, 10 of 10 from the line.
End to end, Nate Britt with grit.
Harry Giles saying, I didn't get him, but nobody stopped the ball. He had Matt Jones on his hip the whole time. That's the thing, you can't guard a guy on his hip from right there. He's even made Britt too quick.
Let's remember, this young man is a senior, Upper Marlboro, Maryland, by way of Oak Hill Academy. And he's being called upon for big-time minutes with Berry saddled with 4. Gets the old-fashioned 3 to tie it at 70. Here we go. Jackson!
Great finish that time. Is all set up. A double screen up high. It got North Carolina out of position defensively. Finishes with the left hand.
Duke by 2. Justin Jackson, that's an offensive foul. His 3rd.
Watch this double screening action, and boy, that is a tough shot. He had Isaiah Hicks right in his grill.
It's a good call.
And then the bump right there, and just Allen did a good job of sliding his feet and leading him right to the baseline.
Yeah, that space belonged to him.
He runs the exact same play for Jackson the last time.
Kennard for 3.
You know, Tim, this team is playing its 3rd game in 3 nights. They look a little energized right now.
You think? Jackson rejected by Giles. Alley-oop to Giles. The Devils by 7, their largest lead of the night. Another steal.
All right, Harry, how about Harry Giles? You fans have been waiting for that for a long time from him, but what a sequence.
You want to know why the Blue Devils like playing in New York? You're hearing it, and you're seeing it right now. Pull up, Allen.
Offensive foul.
And it's an offensive foul. Well, how much fun is this, partner?
There's a look, and Luke Kennard now starting to come alive again. It's been the free throw line where he's been perfect, and then how about Harry Giles and his contribution down the end of the floor with Jefferson, and then end-to-end after that block, just beating everybody up the floor for the.
I don't think there's a run coming from North Carolina, then you haven't watched this rivalry. Barry back on the floor.
Yeah, number 2, it was just Roy Williams. Couldn't wait any longer.
There's the scoring run in the last 7:20. Duke's outscored them by 16. Pinson with 8 assists. Hasn't had one lately. There's Justin Jackson, a little floater too strong. Rebound by Giles. Good block out there by Duke. All of this with Jefferson on the bench.
Tim, 6 rebounds now for him in 14 minutes. Some good blocks as well. 4 points. North Carolina's got a little bit of a stunned look on its face right now. They've been knocked back a little bit.
That's a walk. 10th turnover committed by the Devils. Given the emotion and speed of this game, that's not a bad number. First of 2 tonight. How about the response for Giles at the bench?
Well deserved. Not only gave them a chance, but it gave them a lead with Jefferson off the floor.
He gave them a lift.
Yeah, as opposed to when Joel Berry was off the floor and how North Carolina suffered without his leadership in scoring.
He's back out there now, playing with 4. And you do have to believe, knowing this series, that North Carolina's got a run coming. Britt short-armed it, got it back. There's Theo. There's a slam. The Tar Heels trail by 5.
Wow, only his second made basket, but that was emphatic. And again, it's the second chance points and the rebounds.
Timeout. 3:36 left. What a privilege it is to call this rubber match of the Battle of the Blues. They're playing for a championship. But this one is about more than just a title, more than about hardware. It's about tradition.
Lane, I'd attack him and try to get that 5th personal foul.
We look at that, the 5-point lead now for Duke. Semifinal round, Florida State and Notre Dame to follow.
Kennard passed up. He had Hicks out on the perimeter. And now they're just trying to work it into Jefferson with Britt on him.
Wow! Right up against the clock.
Well, they sniffed out the mismatch inside on the switch, and Jefferson, surprised Britt didn't try to take an offensive charge that time.
Just 8 in the game for the senior, looking for his first ever opportunity in an ACC tournament final. Berry from downtown. Out of bounds, last touch by Kennard.
And we may see, as this game unfolds, Tim, Jefferson playing on offense, Giles coming in on defense, just kind of going, and there you see the help late coming back. You know that Jefferson is going to turn over that left shoulder, so the help's got to come from there.
Theo Pinson on a straight line drive is rejected.
Why, no backing down by Jefferson either. He was the one with the block.
Allen doubled. Jackson, beautiful pass. A laser-like pass to Tatum.
All right, North Carolina so locked into him on the perimeter that they just lost sight of where Tatum, he was wide open.
North Carolina needs a hoop here. Down 9, 2 and change left. Berry on a straight drive.
On a foul. I think they're going to call it on him. This is 5th foul.
Yes, Jefferson's done. That's 5.
Well, and a smart play by Berry. What I said on the opposite end of the floor is what he did with Jefferson. Here's the look. You can see, like, there's just nobody around him. They lost complete sight of where he was.
Well,
But Tim, I think the Duke coaching staff now feels a lot more confident with Giles in the game, the way he's played.
Yeah, no question. He's just had, Giles has just had the 5 minutes of his career so far.
Well, Harry Giles has given the minutes the Blue Devils have needed, doing the little things that get you to the winner's circle, defending, blocking shots, being the first to the floor for loose balls. On that last possession, the Tar Heels went to their 30-40 series where they're supposed to trap any pass to the sideline. That's a tough place to trap, G-Man. Right at the center of the floor, the Blue Devils make the extra pass. Easy bucket for Jayson Tatum inside.
Jason Cable giving up the scouting report information. What if sure Florida State and Notre Dame are interested in that if they get through?
Giles, 6 rebounds and 4 blocks in that sequence. And, you know, you think about it, to your point, Roy Williams, when he lost Berry, lost so much. And when Jefferson went down, you thought maybe Coach K was going to have the same set of circumstances. But Harry Giles, who has been hurt most of the year, has been a step late defensively most of the season, stepped up his game.
Had he not performed that way, they would have had to have gone small, Tim, and bring Matt Jones back in.
Yeah.
But now they can keep a big body on the floor.
Hicks got that foul, his 3rd, and they get a break with Allen missing the free throw.
Plus, Giles only has 2 fouls on him with 2 minutes to go, so he's in good shape. He can still be aggressive.
The lead pushed back to 9. Duke only got the lead for the first time 5 minutes ago. And they've been in control ever since. Jackson on the offensive glass. Meeks back to Jackson for 3. Oh, the iron tantalizingly unkind, but a foul spotted underneath.
They're going to call it on Giles, I believe. And Isaiah Hicks going to the line.
That's the 3rd foul on Giles. As you mentioned, he could be aggressive under there. 2 minutes left, and he's got 3. We say that because bunches, 8, 9 point runs. You only need a couple of minutes to get them in this series.
And really, Justin Jackson had 2 great looks at the 3 and wasn't able to get them to go down.
There has been talk about the iron being a little bit more unkind in this building and wound tightly here in Brooklyn, the home of the Nets of the NBA.
Well, and for the people out there, don't think that that's not true. Different arenas, some baskets are like sewers. Everything you throw up there goes in, and others are really, really tight.
Yeah, I recall when Rick Pitino went to Rupp Arena, you know how much he relied on those long rebounds if you took a 3, and he took many of them, really changed the game with them. And Rupp Arena had very woundly tight rims.
Yeah, and the tightest rims in my era were at Carmichael. The shot had to be perfect, and a 7-point lead. All of a sudden, North Carolina amping up their pressure.
Kennard.
They're down to 1 timeout, so you can't get trapped like that. You can't afford to burn the timeout.
And North Carolina will give up a foul.
Nick Britt, I think, will get a call.
That's number 4 on him. Well, Roy in a bit of a quandary. We'll get Luke May back out there.
And I'm looking at it now, and I'm seeing 3 North Carolina players on the lane with their grabbing their shorts bent over. And it looks, surprisingly, Duke looks like the fresher team right now.
Tatum is now 6 of 6 at the line. Look somewhere upstairs. Guys like Vic Bubas, Frank McGuire, Dean Smith are taking some interest.
Well, Vic Bubas isn't quite upstairs.
I know he's not there. Well, excuse me, my fault. Bubas is still
He just had his 90th birthday, as a matter of fact.
Maybe he has a connection. But, I mean, think about that. This is a wonderful moment, especially for Frank McGuire. The fans of him the Rosenbluth era, having a matchup like this.
Boy, and that's the guy, if you're Duke, you want taking the three in that situation.
And the Duke fans really beginning to feel it now.
You know, the way it's been a tale of two halves again. The way the first half was going when pounding inside. I mean, North Carolina was scoring at will. Then for some reason they went away from it and started relying on the jump shot. Duke's three-point shot came alive. They've got a huge gap at the free throw line.
Tremendous turnaround. One of the great ones ever in this series. North Carolina led by as much as 13 in this game. And you'll recall that Duke had 7 points carved off that lead. Our performance of the game brought to you by your local Chevrolet dealers, and Jayson Tatum deserving with 24. Why wouldn't it be him?
And I think you're looking at a guy who's made the first team all-tournament team at this point.
Without a doubt. Perry takes it right to the rack. And a quick timeout by Roy Williams.
Okay, both teams now with one timeout left.
Well, speaking of Coach Bubas, the great success that he had, he did it in 9 years.
Yeah, Tim.
60 to 69.
Kind of like the Beatles, what he accomplished there.
Yeah. And you see these meetings between the two outside of the state of North Carolina. This is the 5th one, so a rubber match of sorts there. Statistically, this series is so even. All-time, only 1 point separated the two coming in.
Well, it's really, the NIT is the only national tournament that these two have met, and they've never played each other in the NCAA
It's
tournament.
hard to believe that that's never happened.
Yep.
Really is, especially when you consider the matchups and the other rivalries that are out there, like Louisville, Kentucky, by example. North Carolina looking to extend the game and get some help from Duke at the line.
They're going to go smaller now on offense, and I'm sure they'll bring Giles back in when they get a chance on the defensive end. Travel.
Yeah.
Big turnover that time, and you don't expect that from Luke Kennard. But he did shuffle. He definitely shuffled his feet, and that was very close to a 5-second call as well.
One of the hardest things to do traditionally against North Carolina is get the ball inbounded. It's been that way for years.
You've got Grayson Allen now on a big in this situation.
Justin Jackson is fouled by Kennard.
Boy, and Frank Jackson just got leveled by a screen. He's checking through there. Even Justin Jackson is going over to see if he's okay.
Yeah, right there. And it was incidental. No malice intended, and some great sportsmanship by Justin. He went over after this happened when the play was called dead after the foul. Both coaches are being informed. I'm with you. It's not Justin Jackson's fault, Jason, that he's that tall, he's that angular with that much reach.
It's a basketball play. He wasn't swinging his arm. He's simply trying to get into his natural motion to attack downhill.
Well, just the way it was reviewed, I think it was a lot closer.
Yeah.
Than.
Well, with so much at stake, and with the clock where it is, they're always going to.
The most important thing for North Carolina is they've got to score as much as they can, and a big miss right there. Remember earlier they had a miss on the front end of a one-on-one, and then a miss there in that opportunity.
Followed by a foul, which means we promenade to the other free throw line.
Well, the clock not moving is definitely what North Carolina needs right now, and they do that by attacking the basket.
So Meeks got that foul after the miss.
Giles only 46% at the free throw line.
Actually not a bad foul when you consider that. But this, after all, has been his night of nights.
He's only had 20 attempts on the year, Tim. 9 for 20. But if his confidence has ever been this high, it's right now at this moment.
I think they're checking, they're making sure that no more time ran off the clock.
And this is, now, Roy Williams has had an opportunity. Mike Krzyzewski is using this as an opportunity to get a cheap huddle and a cheap timeout while the review is going on. Roy Roy Williams communicating with his players as well. Luke May getting ready to check in.
It does, though, ice to some extent Giles at the free throw line, which is not to the advantage of the Blue Devils. His first free throw of the night. The points themselves don't mean as much. The rebounds and the block shots do. And in keeping with his play tonight, he's perfect at the free throw line as well.
Well, how about Duke in this situation, Tim? 3 freshmen out on the floor.
Yeah.
Jackson, Giles, and Tatum.
You know, in a lot of ways, Mike, I thought their regular season turned the way they won that Wake Forest game when they came from behind. Their postseason plight may in fact turn after what happened at the end of yesterday's game with Louisville, and then this opportunity at a rubber match against North Carolina.
And if you, the thing too, Tim, if you beat the #1 seed, you get the rest that they would have gotten. So with a 9 o'clock game, you know, you almost get a full 24 hours.
The lead is 10. North Carolina needs something quickly. Jackson. That one was deflected. Kennard comes down with it, and Duke with a double-digit lead and 60 seconds to play.
North Carolina's they've got to foul quickly. But not that guy. He's the one who, you know, Kennard has been perfect from the line.
What a performance. Let's take a look at the play of the game, driven by Continental Tire. The block, and then a slam to remember.
Wow, and this is just, you know, all the potential in the world was there, but just so many injuries to overcome over the last couple of years. But, boy, you make that block and then run around. You see what his mentor, Emil Jefferson, thinks of his performance.
Yeah, well, he helped get Emil into his first ever ACC tournament final.
Well, and how important, if Duke should finish this off, how important is Giles going to be tomorrow night?
Absolutely. I harken back to the 15:04 mark when Joel Berry got his 4th foul as the moment when this game turned. And what was happening that was so easy for Kennedy Meeks and Isaiah Hicks went away.
I'd love to see a plus-minus in this game when Berry was on the floor and when he was off the floor. It was happened in the first half as well. And just, you know, Duke now at 30 made free throws, 30 of 33 from the line, Tim.
Yep, that's how you stay in and win basketball games, no question. That's 16 more points at the free throw line, and something that all coaches point to in the aftermath of losses when they look at the box score. Hicks with a quick slam and a timeout. Bring the game back to 10.
Well, they'll keep that, Duke will keep the small lineup on the floor. You got good ball handlers and for the most part good free throw shooters.
ACC tournament wins, 2 of the best. We touched on Vic Bubas at now 90 years of age. 22 that he had amassed those over just 9 seasons, which is amazing. Roy Williams, Dean Smith, Mike Krzyzewski passed him yesterday with the win against Louisville. Now, back in the old days, as you said, you win one game and you're in the semifinals, or if you get a bye, maybe it's to the semifinal round. Now it's a little harder to come by.
Yeah, I always thought that Coach Bubas was one of the most underrated and underappreciated coaches in the history of the conference. You know, the others on that list all got their props and are in the Hall of Fame.
And a reminder, coming up next.
You know when this game is going to be over with and you're just dying to get out on the court and start warming up.
Run out for Tatum. Henson back there with him. They got a foul immediately.
Just a lot of time went off the clock, about 5 seconds, and I think that Pinson almost fell asleep that time. That was a long pass, and with him right in the vicinity. And this Tim, right now, this as it stands, their 30 made free throws, a high this season for Duke.
Shooting 2.
Incredible performance for this Blue Devils team in so many ways, and the emergence of Harry Giles as a complimentary player that meant so much when Jefferson was in his foul difficulty. In a lot of ways, it was how Duke handled that adversity of foul difficulty versus what happened to North Carolina when Barry got his with the 15:04 mark of the second half. The game really turned there.
You know, and that's a good job by Frank Jackson to come up, make Barry pick up the ball and start the clock.
Brent. Allen tries to run it down, but it's saved to Barry. Nothing but air. Out of bounds to Duke. And they can now feel safely secure of their ticket being punched to the ACC championship game.
Well, what a turnaround for Barry too. In the games, you know, didn't start because it was senior night, but 28 points for him at the Smith Center in the last game, and only 10 here tonight.
Listen to this. Duke crowd is excited. North Carolina crowd is cheering on the players that won the regular season, knowing that the walk-ons are about to come in. The building is electric.
The Admiral standing up across the way, getting into the action. David Robinson.
Hard not to miss him, huh? Listen to the crowd and also the North Carolina contingent as they respond to their players. They're not going to be victorious tonight, but a remarkable season, and the big tournament is yet ahead, and they're going to get, in all likelihood, a 1 seed or possibly a 2.
Well, I think the question is now, do they get the overall #1 seed?
Yeah,
you know, with Kansas losing, you know, North Carolina lose, they'll be on the top line. There's no question about it.
I think so. I think it would take a lot for any of that top line to change.
Well, I think Villanova may be the only one that would, you know, give them, you know, make a claim for that.
Yes. Remarkable game. White comes in and gets a 3-ball.
Boy, it doesn't matter the venue. New York continues to be kind to the Blue Devils.
Does it ever? And for the 6th straight time in the ACC tournament, Duke beats North Carolina. And the 2 Hall of Famers know what lies ahead. For Duke, the immediacy of tomorrow and a possible crown for the first time in the ACC tournament for that senior Emil Jefferson. For North Carolina, they'll await their call, and it will likely be on the top line on Sunday, Selection Sunday, for another run at a possible national championship. They got oh so close a year ago.
Just a gutsy performance by Duke. You know, you thought that they would get worn down, especially the way that North Carolina was pounding on them in the first half. But just a resilient group. Frank Jackson comes